What if the solution to America's housing crisis is already sitting in a factory, waiting for permission? Right now, the U.S. is short somewhere between 3 and 5 million homes. Entry-level houses have nearly vanished. Traditional construction is slower, more expensive, and less productive than it was decades ago. Labor shortages, rising material costs, and endless inspections. Meanwhile, factory-built manufactured homes can be built up to 50% cheaper. They're faster, more precise, less wasteful. Some even qualify for zero energy performance. So why aren't they everywhere? Today we're going to take a hard look at the modern manufactured home industry, not the trailer parks of the past, but the sleek CrossMod, high-design homes of today. And ask the real question, is the $100,000 house the comeback story of America housing? Or is there something standing in the way?
You know, with millions of homes needed to close this massive housing gap, pretty much everyone is searching for a silver bullet. So today, we're going to explore a powerful contender that might just be hiding in plain sight, the modern manufactured home. But is building a house in a factory truly the answer? All right, so here's what we're going to cover. First up, we'll look at exactly why traditional construction is struggling to keep up. Then, we're going to debunk some seriously old myths about factory-built homes and uncover the huge advantages of building this way. After that, we'll dig into the real roadblocks holding them back, and finally, map out the path to unlocking all that potential. Okay, let's dive right in. And to really get it, we first have to understand the sheer scale of the problem we're facing. The numbers here are, well, they're staggering, and they point to a really fundamental issue with how we build homes today. So right now, the United States is short somewhere between 3 and 5 million housing units. And that gap, it's felt most sharply at the entry level, making that classic American dream of homeownership feel more and more out of reach for a lot of people. Now check this out, because this is wild. Since 1950, almost every industry you can think of has found ways to get more efficient, to do more with less. But traditional on-site home construction, it's gone in the complete opposite direction. It has actually become less productive, and that makes it a major bottleneck in solving this whole crisis. Okay, so if the old way of building is hitting a wall, the logical next question is, why not just build homes in a factory? But before we can even answer that, we have to clear up some very outdated, and frankly, just plain wrong, stereotypes. First off, the language here is super important. We are not talking about the mobile homes built before 1976. Modern manufactured homes are the only kind of housing in the U.S. built to a single, strict federal code from the Department of Housing and Urban Development, or HUD. This code ensures really high standards for safety, quality, and durability. Yeah, that old image of some rusty cookie-cutter trailer, it just doesn't match today's reality at all. Today's manufactured homes are high quality, they're super customizable, and they have the same amenities you'd find in any site-built home. We're talking spa-like bathrooms, gourmet kitchens, stone countertops, the whole deal. And this evolution has even led to a whole new category called CrossMod homes. Now, these are specifically designed to be literally indistinguishable from their site-built neighbors. They get placed on a permanent foundation, they often have garages and covered porches, and get this, they can even appreciate in value just like a traditional home. So let's step onto the factory floor for a minute and see how this building method creates some absolutely incredible advantages. This is where the real power of prefabrication starts to shine. Just think about this for a second. While the foundation and all the site work is being prepped, the house itself is being built at the exact same time, inside a climate-controlled factory. This parallel process can cut the total construction time by up to 50%. That gets families into their homes in a fraction of the time. And that speed, it translates directly into savings. I mean, you're eliminating weather delays, you're improving labor efficiency, you're reducing waste. It all makes the factory process incredibly cost-effective. In fact, studies from places like Harvard have found that these homes can be up to 46% cheaper than comparable site-built houses. Building in a factory is also incredibly precise. Materials are optimized with computer-aided design, and that can slash construction waste by as much as 83%. That's a huge win, not just for the wallet, but for the environment too. And this whole process is helping to build the homes of the future. The U.S. Department of Energy now has a Zero Energy Ready Home certification made specifically for the manufactured housing industry that's really pushing these homes to the forefront of energy efficiency and sustainability. So with all these clear benefits, they're faster, cheaper, greener, and higher quality, you really have to ask yourself, why aren't these homes everywhere? What is holding back this revolution? Well, it turns out the biggest barriers aren't about technology or quality at all. The real roadblocks are regulatory, financial, and logistical. It's this tangled web of rules and old habits that are just decades out of date. This quote from the Cato Institute really gets to the heart of the problem. You see, even though the homes are built to a single federal standard, it's the local towns and cities that decide where they can go. And out of thousands of local jurisdictions, many of them use these outdated zoning laws to just explicitly ban manufactured homes, or they'll impose impossible requirements to keep them out. And because of that old mobile home history, many states still legally classify them as personal property, like a car or a boat, instead of as real estate. This forces buyers into what are called chattel loans, which have much higher interest rates and way fewer protections than a standard mortgage. It makes affordability a huge challenge. And what's really interesting is that this is not a new fight. After World War II, there was this huge push for prefabricated housing to solve another housing crisis. And guess what? It got stalled by the exact same issues we see today: opposition from traditional construction interests and a patchwork of local codes that just blocked innovation. So what's the path forward? Well, the solution lies less in engineering a better house and more in engineering better policy. The technology is here. What we really need now is the political will to use it. The path forward really boils down to fixing two main things. On one side, we've got to reform those restrictive and often discriminatory local zoning laws that keep these homes out. And on the other, we have to update the state titling regulations so these homes can finally be classified as real property. That way, buyers can get access to traditional, more affordable mortgages. And the good news is, we don't have to reinvent the wheel here. Some states are already leading the way. New Hampshire, for example, offers a great model for reform because it broadly allows manufactured homes to be titled as real estate, which just opens the door to much better financing for home buyers. And that leaves us with a final, pretty provocative thought. We have a technology right now that can build high-quality, energy-efficient, and affordable homes faster and cheaper than ever before. So the question is no longer if we can build the American dream in a factory, but rather, will our outdated rules and perceptions finally let us?